here today with Brenda Fernander. I am Charlene Watley with Mothers Against Drunk Driving of Georgia, and Brenda has graciously agreed to join us today to talk about her tragedy into triumph in observance of National Crime Victims' Rights Week 2020. So, Brenda, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm okay. So thank you for agreeing to join up with us and do this. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about Neal.
Well, I was gonna say it's hard to say in just a few words, but Neal was a father of two. Neal and I were married for 26 years at the time of his accident. He was a giver. He was a volunteer outside of his regular job. He was a first responder, a volunteer fireman, just to name a few. He was just just loved helping others, loved giving back, helping out in the community, and he was just one of a kind. Just a servant, had a servant's heart, and just loved life, loved the Lord.
Well, I know that you and I talk, about your husband and the father of your children, Justin and Ashley, about Neal, and and we've had some stories. But tell me, I know that he was an organ donor, and so tell me a little bit about how you guys got involved with LifeLink.
Well, I guess after Neal and I were married, I knew that just anyone that signed up when you got your driver's license, that you signed up to be an organ donor. And he was an organ donor, so was myself, the kids, after they got their driver's license as well. But he just, I knew that he was an organ donor, but I really, at the time of the accident, didn't realize how all that came to work until the night of the accident, when LifeLink contacted us because of him being an organ donor. And that's based off their driver's license and just the information they get with area hospitals or whatever. But so we were contacted the night of the accident by LifeLink, and they just went over, how the process worked, and had a lot of questions to ask me. And because I knew that they had to harvest the organs and everything as soon as possible. And they just were so gracious in the way that they handled everything, and very, very compassionate to me. Just was, anytime I needed to take a break, I was able to. So they I couldn't recommend them enough for anyone that's, that's going to donate an organ.
So I know that, you and I have had conversations about your grief journey and how this has definitely, impacted your grief journey. Can you share a little bit about, how many possible recipients or what the impact was regarding grafts and things, organ and tissue that was actually used as a result of your generosity, as well as your family's generosity agreeing to give and work with LifeLink?
Sure. Well, like I said, the night of the accident, they contacted us, and they had to move quickly, apparently, on the organ process. And even though that I knew he was an organ donor because of, our conversations, there were questions that I was asked that I'm sure Neal didn't even realize at the time, but we were told that tissue and skin was such a need. So that was something that wasn't, considered an organ as far as on the license. So they had asked us if that would be something that, we would like to do. And we were driving back home that night after the accident. So I asked the kids, and of course their first thing was, of course Daddy would want that because, he donated organs. So why not, the others? So they did skin grafts and donated us the tissue. And we had received a letter, and it, stated that they would be able to save up to 57 people by doing this.
Wow.
And so since then, I guess it was a little over, well, less than a year after the accident, I did receive a letter and said that, there were, I guess like up to 57 people that, would benefit. And there was a 33-year-old male that received a skin graft for a knee surgery, a 67-year-old female, and a 75-year-old male. And other things were the saphenous vein, which we had hoped that we would be able to donate his heart, because we always said whoever got his heart would definitely get a big one. But because of the impact of the accident and the trauma, they weren't able to, to salvage that. But the saphenous vein is very important. It's crucial for the heart as well. So someone did receive that. And so we know of, like I said, there were 6 people for sure. And then we've received a letter from one of it was no one, they didn't sign their name, but it was just a letter from a recipient. It was for someone that was used, it was for cancer treatment that from the radiation that they had received. Mm-hmm. And they were able to get the skin tissue from that.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So it's amazing how, that decision of, you guys were going during a tragedy, a huge tragedy that, obviously that was unexpected, and you were able to turn that process into something that was just amazing for not one, not two, but several families. And so do you think that, making that decision, that Neal would be proud of your decision?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I guess anybody that knew Neal knew that he just had such a huge heart. He was always about giving back. That's why he enjoyed being a first responder, volunteer fireman, that sort of thing. So we knew that, with him being an organ donor, then that's something that he was very passionate about. So that's why I guess the kids didn't have to really think that much about it whenever I asked them about the organs. The tissue and the skin, because they're like, that's something that Daddy would want us to do. And we knew with, his faith and our faith that that was just something that he would have never thought twice about, that, in order for him to help someone else, that was better than, we knew where he was and that he wasn't going to need those organs. So he would be very proud.
Absolutely. So I know that we had a conversation about, I believe it's the tree of life that they have in the Norcross office.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. We received an invitation, which everyone does after the year of person that donates an organ. They have a tree of life, and you're come to the office there in Norcross, and they unveil the tree, and it has your loved one's name on it. So we were given like a map that shows where your loved one's name is, and you're there with a lot of other people that have lost loved ones. And unfortunately, we were there with a friend of Justin's, high school friend that had lost his life as well that same year. So we were there with his mom, and that was just comforting for both of us to be there together. But yeah, they unveiled that. And at the end of the year, so the 2016 organ donors, the tree is unveiled in 2017. And then after that tree is removed from the Norcross office, I'm not exactly sure where it's going, but I know it's somewhere in the state of Georgia that just shows how many organ donors were for that year. And then they start a new tree each year for the organ donors in the year before that.
Okay. Well, Ms. Brenda, I thank you so much, for sharing your amazing situation, which is also unique. I thank you, because that process to me just speaks volumes about who Neal is and who he was, and actually what type of family you guys are. So I thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
And this concludes our time together. And thank you again.
Thank you, Cheryl. No, I appreciate it.
Okay, have a good one.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.